and I hit that, the roof will open up. It's so good. So today is going to be a big day, and the reason I say this is because we're going to be going to space. Ah yes, as if the intro didn't give it away enough, we are going to be touching a little bit onto the Ad Astra mod. And now there's a lot to this mod that may honestly go unnoticed at first. And I'm saying that from experience, because I have looked at the Ad Astra mod, or if we just search Astra, I've looked over this mod in many other packs and completely ignored the fact that steel cables, dash cables, and pipes exist in this mod. So this does have the ability to pipe power around, or sort of cable power around, and also has fluid pipes, allowing you to send fluids from one location to another. Now this mod is sort of special, as it does have progression from within itself. So basically, you start off on a low tier, and then you move to the next tier, go to that planet, find the resources on that planet, move to the next, and so on and so forth. Now, why would you want to do that? I mean, typically you would want to do that for the gear, because the gear from the Ad Astra mod is really good whenever you get into the jet suit. Basically, it's like having an elytra without an elytra, and also a jetpack all in one. It's also pretty darn strong as armor goes. But I think one of the best parts of the mod is the cheese. That's right, the cheese that we can get from the moon. Now, with all jokes aside, of course, yes, space in a steampunk themed mod pack seems like an odd choice, but is it? And to that I would say sometimes things just aren't worth questioning. Now, enough of me talking about what we're actually going to do, and let's get started doing it. So to get started with the Ad Astra mod, we are going to, for one, need to make ourselves, well, a spacesuit. And this is very easy in this pack because of the way steel is actually produced. So all we have to do is just send iron through our bulk blaster and we get ourselves steel. And that's how we've been getting steel all the way up to through this point. Now, for example, iron rods, that's also fairly easy. And I think there's even another iron rod recipe that is even easier than this with just actual ingots. But just some oxygen tanks. By the way, we're going to need more than just what we have here for our own gear. So I'm going to go ahead and make more than what's actually needed here, because we're going to need it later on. But making the chest piece, that is honestly the hardest thing to make. That's a part of the whole spacesuit. But there we go. So now we have a full spacesuit. And if I was to take off my cosmetic armor, we can actually take a look at what it looks like. And it is kind of cool looking. I actually really like the spacesuit design of this mod. And it's almost ready to go. The only thing we're missing is like oxygen, right? And you can see our tanks over on the left are completely empty. And these are consumable tanks, which could refill our actual chest piece. But we don't have to worry about that just yet, because we still need to make, well, a spaceship. But before we do that, let's make ourselves a little bit more steampunk. I know we have a spacesuit on and we are going to space, but what if we were a magical space-faring person? Yeah, how about we make this? Honestly, it's just an excuse for me to make this really cool looking gear now that we have netherite. And that is the Battle Mage set from Iron Spells. And I think this is a very nice looking armor set. Even if it is just for cosmetics, oh, it is fantastic. And if we take a look, once we have it all ready to go, it actually has some really good stats on it. And it's sort of like netherite mage armor that gives you some more effects that will actually improve your overall stats for your iron spells, if that's what you were getting into. But take a look at this. Ah, yes. Now I think we're ready to venture into space. Now, to make our first ship, we are going to need to use this thing. This is a NASA workbench, and this is actually where we're going to build our rocket. And believe it or not, the rocket, at least to make the first tier, is very simple. You need a rocket nose cone, and if we take a look at what this is used for, we can see that it just requires steel, just a ton of steel. So a nose cone, one engine, 2 of these tanks, and 4 fins, and you get 4 fins from this. So, I mean, it's very simple. We can actually craft it right here. 4 fins, and then we just need some regular steel blocks. It doesn't even have to be the ones that require immersive engineering, if I remember correctly. And I think it's just 6 of those. So let's take a look at our steel here. And if we combine that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. And so we can just put this together. Nose cone on the top, 2 of these. Oh yeah, we also need an engine. Almost forgot about that. And I don't believe it holds it. Oh, it does hold it. And then it has an animation. I don't know if I've ever seen that animation. That would be kind of cool for a decorative piece, honestly. All right. But yes, so we still also need to make the steel engine. And this is just like I said, it's just a ton of steel and iron. So at this point, not too difficult if you've automated iron. I think you would be really struggling in this pack if you failed to do that. So here we go. There's the engine, and that's the last piece. And as soon as we click this, there we go. We now have ourselves a rocket ship. And this has got to be one of my favorite animations. Just holding the rocket ship above your head. It's hilarious. Now, to be able to launch our rocket, I am going to need a launch pad, and this is how you actually set the rocket to launch. And I have a place that I kind of want to launch the rocket from, and that is going to be directly on top of our tower here, our clock tower. And this makes total sense, and you're going to see that shortly once we place this down and we place our rocket in. Now, there's plenty of space, but I have an idea. I kind of want to use Create to make the roof actually rotate off to the side and open up to allow the rocket to go through, and then close back up whenever we're done using it for the rocket. And to do that, we can utilize some Create. Now, to do this, what I kind of want to happen is it to sort of pop open and rotate out, kind of like a tin can sort of opening. And to be able to do that, I kind of need a mechanical bearing sort of facing the other direction opposite of this. So let me go ahead and try that. I'm going to place this, let's see, like this, holding down shift. We're going to use a sequence gear shift, and this is where the magic is going to happen. So this is going to receive a redstone signal, and this is then going to pick up all of the blocks that are connected, and it's going to rotate it. But I do have to tell it how to rotate. So inside of the sequence gear shift, I need this to go one direction 90 degrees. And so it needs to rotate 90 degrees. Now, at the moment, I don't really have a good indication of what that direction is going to be because I don't have it powered yet. So let's go ahead and hook up a motor to the back of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect directly to the side right here. I'm just going to connect myself a battery. Now, we've used these batteries. This was from a mod that I added that is, let's see, let me go ahead and pull this up, called Create Utilities. And we have a battery already linked up. And so I've just got to set the power, and then we can actually see the power going into it. So this allows for wireless access to power, which is pretty nice, especially in a pack like this. But I want to use it to kind of scale some power utilizing some of those ad astra cables. And I want to send that power into this machine. So this is going to start rotating. So let's get a button for right now. And I want to tell this sequence gear shift to rotate something in some direction. Right now, it's only connected to this block, so it's only going to rotate that block 90 degrees. So it's going to turn it on its side 90 degrees. And then I want it to wait for a redstone signal. And then on the next thing, I want it to turn again, but I want it to turn back the opposite way. So I just need to change this to input speed and then reversed. And then I want it to end. So I think that is what I want it to do. So if I give this a redstone signal, that should then rotate 90 degrees, supposed to, and then it's supposed to rotate back. But because I guess a slab cannot be done that way, it's not going to work. But if I set this to only place when anchor is destroyed, then it should hold it. So you can see that that is now being held. And then wherever I hit it again, it's going to rotate back to normal. And believe it or not, this is actually already rotating in the direction that I want it to. Now, in order for me to get this entire thing to act like a lid, well, to do that, I just have to glue this entire top section as if it is a lid. So it is going to be time to start gluing. And I think what I want to do is I just want to glue for example, these sections together, I don't want it to be connected to anything. And I'm not really worried about this section, but I do want to make sure that all of these, for example, are connected together. So now after a little bit of trial and error with the glue, it is now working. So when I hit that button, the lid to the roof opens up. And yes, it would be nicer if it was a little bit slower and dramatic, but that is functional. So our roof now opens up, and I just kind of have to add some sort of hinge looking thing right here. I think would look really, really good just to kind of have it all hinged looking. So there we go. Now, to be able to power this with redstone, I want to be able to do it wirelessly. And so this is where I'm going to use the oxygen tanks to place them on here. And I'm going to link this to another receiver. So the redstone links allow some wireless access to all of this stuff. So I'm going to put like a button right here. And on the back, I will put a redstone link. And I'm going to put this in receive mode by shift right clicking it. And then that should be able to receive the redstone signal. Or actually, we need to do it the opposite way, don't we? So let's go ahead and change this. Put this one in receive mode. And then whenever I give this a redstone signal, so for example, if I put a button over here on any wall, if I put it right here, for example, and I hit that, the roof will open up. It's so good. And then when I push it down again, the roof will then close down. So we are ready to launch when that happens. Oh, that's so good. Now, even though we have all of this ready to go, we have a roof that opens and a spaceship, we are still missing an important part, and that is the actual fuel for the rocket itself. And not only that, we also need oxygen, well, to supply our spacesuit. Now, in my case for the oxygen, I'm going to be using the oxygen loader, and we just need to feed water into this. So to be able to get water into an oxygen loader and also power, which by the way, I do want to use these cables to route power down here from this setup right here. But to be able to get water into it, I actually want to use supplementaries, which is going to be kind of interesting. So let's route these around and down, and they're going to feed right into this. Now, I think I want to feed this onto the side because the water itself, I'm going to be feeding directly into the top. And for that water, I'm going to be using a stair that is placed in like this with a trapdoor on the front. So that way I can use some water, and I can, for example, use a bucket of water on here to waterlog this block. And with that block waterlogged, I can then use a faucet to send this water. And so this is just going to infinitely start sending it water directly from this waterlogged stair that you see right here. See, I told you we would be doing some magic. Now, while that is producing some oxygen, I do need to head on over to the place where we actually get oil, because that's how we're going to make rocket fuel. Now, we're going to need to use a fuel refinery, and this is a pretty simple block, just like the one that we used up here for the oxygen. However, this one just sort of receives fuel and power, and it just converts oil directly into fuel. It's pretty simple. And we'll just use buckets to do that. But the place that we find oil, well, that is out in the middle of the ocean. You will end up finding these very, very dark spots right here. And that's where we're going to find a bunch of oil. And so just like that, this is an oil column. And all of these spots that are displacing the water are oil. So I'm going to grab some buckets. And that is going to be one of the best ways to pick it up, is just by using a bunch of different buckets and scooping the oil one by one. You could use a create pump, but I would recommend probably just picking it up. You don't need a whole lot of this. I think 3 buckets of it actually get you into space, but you're going to want a few buckets to be able to potentially get back. That is, if you don't have a tim pad, which should allow us to travel back and forth. Now that I'm back home, I can just go ahead and start putting my buckets of oil in here and converting it directly into fuel, which is going to be very useful for getting into space. Now for our oxygen, I just need to put my spacesuit in here. That's going to fill it up. And then also having some of those oxygen tanks is probably going to be pretty handy, because like I said, these are consumables and we can fill them up, and that's going to give us basically double the capacity of oxygen. So I think I'm just about ready. I checked all of the quests, making sure that I am ready to launch. And, well, the only thing I can recommend is making sure you do have some glowstone or something kind of to place down as torches, because regular torches don't work in this dimension. But that can also lead to some other interesting things. Now, our ship is just about ready to go. The only thing we need to do is open the roof, making sure it is nice and clear for us, making sure that we have access to our tim pad. We have some oxygen tanks. We also have some buckets, and also probably want to bring a launch pad just in case you want to launch back to the overworld. However, I think I'm going to just use my tim pad for this. So let's go ahead and hop in the rocket. And then we should be able to, I believe, actually on the outside, shift right click to place the fuel in. And like I said, 3 buckets of this fills the entire tank. And then we also have some storage right here. But as of right now, we are ready to launch. So without further ado, I will see you guys on the flip side. So let's launch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and off we go. And you can actually rotate your spaceship and everything, which is so cool. I love this. This is one of my favorite animations, but definitely not my favorite space mod, believe it or not. As I would have to say, advanced rocketry has to be one of my favorite space mods of all time. It is pretty darn cool. So once we hit the upper atmosphere, we should be able to make our way into space, and that's where we get to choose our destination. And here it is, the solar system. So as of right now, the only place that we can go to is Earth and the moon. So the moon is where we're going to go. We can't build a space station here, but we probably want to take note of these items. We're going to need 32 dash, 32 steel, and 64 iron plate, and 32 dash. If we had those in our inventory on launch, then we would be able to launch a space station here. And so for right now, let's go ahead and hit the moon. So if we go ahead and click that, we should be heading down towards the moon. Yeah, leaving everything behind. I don't know why we decided to do this, but we did. So here we are in our ship, and we're going to hold down space, I think, or no, hold down. Oh gosh. Oh, hopefully we don't crash and burn. That'd be bad. We need to hold down, not shift. I just made a big mistake, didn't I? We are going to take a lot of fall damage here. I don't think we were supposed to hold shift. We were supposed to hold space. I'm going to lose everything in my rocket. Why are we floating? Oh, that's right. We don't. Yeah, that's right. We were not going to fall to our death because we float down really slowly. Oh. But I think our rocket exploded. Like, that's definitely a crater, and I don't think our rocket is still falling anymore. Whoops. I mean, we could easily craft another rocket. That's not a huge deal. But what I do want to do is I want to, well, that would be kind of unfortunate, wouldn't it? If you lost your ship. You're supposed to hold down, you think of the amount of times that I've done this, I would have known what to do here. But you're supposed to hold down spacebar. I can get confused as well. So let's go into here, and I'm going to do moon and add the location. And this is the moon. Yeah, kind of interesting. Now, we are surviving because we're in our spacesuit. If I take this off, well, we start to take a lot of damage very, very quickly. Very quickly. And also, there's some space guys. How well does our gun work in space? Oh, it works phenomenally. Of course it does. Why would it not? These are the space stars. Oh, God. A star crawler. Get out of here. Now, apparently there's some cool things that we're supposed to be able to do. For example, like raw meat. Like, will these work? If we toss them into the atmosphere here, supposedly it's supposed to cook them. Like steak. So raw, let's do some raw pork. I guess maybe not on the moon. It should, maybe on the space station. I have no idea. But it does show right here. It says throw raw food into the atmosphere. So, interesting. Unless it was meaning our atmosphere as we were going to space. Now, something to note about the moon, this is all just sand. All of this sand can be converted into glass. It can also be converted into to soul sand and all of that fun stuff with Create. But this right here is what I'm looking for. This is a structure. If I teleport over to it, this right here, it says secrets beneath. if we start to work our way down, we will find that this is actually a structure down here. Very cool. I wonder if our night vision kicks in when we start to work our way down. Or are we going to have to maybe rely on using glowstone? And we have a little bit. We could probably use this. There we go. But yes, there's actually some nice items you can find down here, including Desh, which is one of the main items that we're actually looking for. So this right here is like an enclosed tree with a ton of tinted glass. But there are definitely chests, and I need to locate those. Let's see. If we go this way. There's more stuff down here. And that is completely cut off, but I am going to hop in here. The gravity is very strange. This is the Desh. Look at that. So yes, if we were to use fortune on these, we get a nice little bonus. And this ore you can find strung all through the world along with cheese, which is something else I kind of want, mainly for just food crafting. But this stuff right here is going to be fundamental to us upgrading into the next tier. You just need tons of Desh. But I think the main use, right, for us is to get access to those fluid pipes instead of using create versions. Now there are mob spawners in here, so I am going to lay these down. This is a star crawler and Lunarian, and then a corrupted Lunarian. Oh boy, emeralds, Desh. By the way, there's also villagers that we can trade with. And there's that cheese. Perfect. By the way, these Lunarians do not play fair. Get out of here. They have rapid fire. I don't know why, but they do. But man, I love this jumping around with the gun animation, with the space, the atmosphere of this. Oh, this is fantastic. Also, here's some more cheese. It's a full cheese ore. Oh, and perfect. My night vision does work down here, which makes this a whole lot easier to see all of the random ore laying about. Now, something else to note, I did not put any kind of lining on this. So this dimension just has no support for the cold sweat mod from what it looks like. So yeah, this dimension, we don't have to worry about heat, even though I would assume this dimension would be rather cold, rather chilly. I mean, according to Google, apparently around the equator of the moon, like when the sun is direct on it, it can hit temperatures of 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 121 degrees Celsius. That's pretty darn hot, but can also drop to temperatures down to negative 208 degrees Fahrenheit, which is negative 133 Celsius. That is very cold. Now over here, I am seeing a lot of Desh. There's Desh all over the place, and we are about around Y level 0, slightly below Y level 0, it looks like. So definitely the best place to start going and scrounging for this stuff. Now on this dimension, you can definitely find massive lakes of lava, which could be worth potentially using with create. And then if you added the create utility mod, then you would be able to, for example, send lava from here back into your world. Now, I did quite a bit of mining, and I would really love to show you more of what the moon has to offer, but, well, outside of a village, that's basically it. That houses, well, nice versions of these. And I looked on the map, and there's nothing really nearby. Nothing I had really uncovered, outside of getting lucky and finding that one dungeon. But yes, no bosses, nothing like that. It's just basically what you see here. A vast, desolate wasteland. That is something you would expect from the moon. But I do gotta admit, that view though, oh man, that's beautiful. But now, like the space pirates we are, we better book it back home, and I should be able to run the house portal, and bam, there we are. From space, immediately back to the overworld. No hassle whatsoever. Now, something that I can definitely do is take this raw Desh. I can then turn it into crushed Desh and wash it. And when I wash it, I actually get some glowstone out of it, which is going to be kind of handy and would have been way more handy last episode, as I needed a ton of glowstone. Definitely should have probably done this. I just don't know what's faster. I mean, honestly, there's no way I'm going to harvest enough Desh compared to the amount of glowstone that I harvested yesterday. But once all of this Desh is processed, that leads us into the next step. and that would be to make the next tier rocket by making dash engines and then putting everything together for a tier 2 rocket. And this is all fueled exactly the same. However, the next rocket will take us to a couple of other locations. I believe Venus and Mars, and those dimensions right there do have some really cool things on them. Well, when I say really cool, I mean not necessarily the cool that they're cool, but cool that, it's just good resources, right? It's just a lot of heat related blocks. So with all of that processed up, I can now start to work on making the next tier rocket. And this is the one that is going to lead us into a new era. It says ready for Mars, as Mars is where we're going to go next. And well, this is where we're actually going to find the Ostrom. Now, Ostrom, like I said, is found on Mars, and this is really like the next tier. This is what will allow us to get into netherite gear and upgrade our armor even further. Now, the next tier, even after this, is what allows us to make that jetpack. But I think as of right now, just going to this dimension is going to be more than enough for right now. So let me grab some oil real quick and make a, well, actually, you know what? We have plenty of fuel. There's no need for any of that. And we should be fine where we're currently at. So, you know what? I'm going to grab my spacesuit. I'm going to put it back on. Make sure we're completely topped off on our oxygen, just like that. And there we go. Now we should be ready to rock and roll again. And I'm going to shift right click, put the fuel in here. I love how we have phantoms after us. And so long as we have our tim pad, we should be fine. Oh, but almost forgot. We've got to open the roof back up. And then we're ready to launch into the next dimension. And the whole sequence, by the way, is exactly the same as it was before. Now, it said release meat into the atmosphere. Does that mean that I can toss, for example, meat out of here into the atmosphere? Is that what it's telling me to do? Or is it going to be in the other dimension? I have no idea. I'm actually picking it back up. So this is just going to end up being tossed right back down, isn't it? Yep, I have no idea what that quest is asking me to do. Definitely not what I think it's supposed to do. But now that we are here, we can go to Mars. And Mars is going to be the next planet that we can head to. So if we go back, you can see that is our option. And so we're just going to head straight to Mars. There's supposed to be ore and stuff that we find here as well. This time I am going to actually do everything correctly. So I'm going to hold down the space bar as we start to get closer to slow our speed and not just jump out like a goofball. Who jumps out of the spaceship as it's landing? Me, apparently. Oh, and this is going to have new enemies. Okay. Slowly land. There we go. Now I can get out. And we're already being attacked. No! By a raptor. Ooh, that offers slime balls. That's actually kind of nice. Now, we should be able to just punch this to get our rocket back. So perfect. So that way we keep our decoration. But we can see the other planets off in the distance. I love this. Now, there are structures in this dimension, but I think the best thing to do is just head underground and start mining for those materials. The Ostrom material. But you can find Ostrom in structures, and I don't know if we have any nearby, but it does kind of look like a little house. Spoiler warning. I guess after saying that, it's a little too late for a spoiler warning, isn't it? Oh, yeah, ignore me. Yes, this dimension is full of these guys. Martian raptors. Huh. And much like the moon, going underground is going to be our best bet. This is where we're going to potentially find our ore, and it is going to be down at the lower levels. Ah, and diamond also shows up here, so definitely a good way to locate diamond. Now this right here is Ostrom, and yes, it's not the prettiest ore. Kind of looks like coal, honestly, but we're going to need quite a bit of it. And when I say quite a bit, I mean, you know, just a couple of stacks of it. And with that, I think I've rounded up just about as much as I need. Now, is there anything else in this dimension aside from these ice shards that you can farm? Not really. No, not really. And not unless, like, for example, a mod pack adds that functionality in and adds some custom structures. But as far as I've seen on the map, there is really nothing around, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, that's just part of this mod and how space actually is. Now, completing these quests, I have definitely been making sure that I dump all of my XP into my actual bar, because these are just giving you raw levels. So we're going to go from 167 levels to 172 levels, which is a lot of level gain, by the way. The more XP you have, the more that those raw levels actually mean. And we're getting even more here. And so definitely worth taking that. Like, for example, this gives us some random reward here. There's all kinds of like random rewards all strung all over the place. Now, with our newfound Ostrom, we can make the highest tier pipe. I've just got to pop on over here and grab my Ostrom plates. And this allows us to make some pretty decent transfer rate pipes. And I'm assuming these go in here. Ah, look at that. They look like immersive engineering pipes. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Okay. So that would actually save us a little bit of space here. But I kind of wanted to test how these actually function. There is a wrench from Ad Astra, which looks like this and requires dash. And so does this, for example, if I wanted to pull liquid from this side to this side, ooh, so there's a green and a red, and that seems to be pumping. So red is pumping, green is an input, red is output. Okay. So those are pretty neat. They are chunky pipes, though, that I will say that. And that, in my opinion, is pretty darn cool, and definitely goes kind of undiscovered. Like, for the longest time, I didn't know that Ad Astra even had cables or pipes. But with that, I think I am done space exploring for today. I'm going to go ahead and place my rocket back in, and then we're going to close our lid back down. And just, that is just beautiful, the fact that it does that. I mean, that it looks so good, too, on the outside when it's open. Oh man, so out of all of the things I did today, I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode, and if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and well, give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Turk. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support by choosing to support me over on the Discord and becoming a Discord premium member. And with that, I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!